Welcome to the Horse Hour podcast. Today I'm at the National Equine Forum in London. It's a day when experts from the industry get together and talk about how we're going to improve the equestrian industry. We'll be bringing you interviews all day from guest speakers, and the leading lady that organises the forum is Georgina Crossman. Georgina, can you start by explaining to us what is the National Equine Forum?
The forum is an event that brings people from the industry together, and the movers and shakers in the industry, if you like, and we use it to basically have discussions about things that affect the industry. And I'm the administrator for it. So it's the National Equine Forum. It happens in March every year in London, and this year is our 25th year.
Oh, it's amazing. I love the fact that a group of you, and it's top level experts, isn't it, that all get together. How many of you are there?
We usually have about 230 people. We're very lucky because we have had for a number of years now a minister from DEFRA has come and taken part, and they have a kind of a session where they speak for 10 minutes or so, and then there's an opportunity for delegates to ask them questions. We are also very lucky in that the Princess Royal is our president and has been actually involved since about the mid-90s with the forum and became our president a few years ago.
Wow, is that Princess Anne?
That is Princess Anne,
oh,
yes.
Amazing.
We're very lucky that she's our president. And we are a committee of about 15 people, and we come together to organise the forum, and then the delegates, there are about 230 of us all together on the day.
Can you just explain to us that don't know a lot about politics what DEFRA is?
DEFRA is the Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, and it's basically where the horse sort of sits. The horse actually sits partially within DCMS as well. Both departments have responsibility for them, DCMS being the Department of Culture, Media and Sport. But DEFRA looks after things from the point of view of equine ID and passport, and also health and welfare. So they are very much the place that if there are any issues to do with any diseases or anything like that within the horse sector, they are the ministry within the government that actually has responsibility for that. And they come, we have a minister every year, well, most years, comes and speaks at the forum and speaks basically on things that are of interest and are of importance to the industry that link in with their responsibilities.
Well, from what I gather, the reason or the point of the National Equine Forum is to help improve the equestrian industry. Is that right?
Yes, we're apolitical, so we're not aligned particularly to any particular thoughts or views, but we're very much a group that is trying to get everybody together in a room, and where there has been an issue to raise that issue. The industry itself is a lot more coordinated than it used to be when the forum was first set up in the beginning of the 90s, and now it's very much now seen as an event where people can come together and discuss the kind of the items of the day. For example, passports, equine passports was one of those things when they came in in the beginning of the 2000s, just over 10-15 years ago. They were discussed, and then the database, which was the National Equine Database, and is now transforming itself into the Central Equine Database, with issues with government and making sure that the legislation is met. So that's something that we've discussed and will continue to be discussed, I have no doubt, throughout forums in future years.
Yeah, it's at the tip of everyone's tongues at the moment, because we do need a database. But we're not going to go into detail of the subjects that you talk about today, because as the day goes on, the National Equine Forum is happening right now, and as the day goes on, we're going to bring you interviews from some of the guest speakers of what they're going to be talking about at the forum, because this is a place for experts to get together and delve into what our problems are as equestrians and as riders. Now, we can't go as the public, can we?
No, we don't have room, unfortunately, to open up to the general public, because, as I said, it's about 230 people that we have. We have a range of people who come on the day. So we have representations from the sporting disciplines. So, for example, eventing, dressage, show jumping. We then have representations from many of the breed societies and passport issuing organisations. We have people from companies within the industry, so some of the feed companies send delegation, also the RDA, the Riding for the Disabled Association, and other organisations. We then have people from colleges and universities. So we have quite a broad range, and that goes alongside sort of the people from within the government who come as well.
So I guess then we have a representative from every single part of the industry. So if we had issues that we really believe in, we could go to our local representative or somebody who might be attending, and that's how it gets across at the National Equine Forum.
Yes, the way the programme is usually come by is that we look at the programme in May of every year. We have a committee meeting in May of every year, and that's when sort of the structure is put in place a little bit. We have a discussion about that. It comes through the committee. On the committee are representatives from a number of organisations, including the British Horse Society, World Horse Welfare, the British Equestrian Federation, the British Equestrian Trade Association. So there are lots of ways in which you can make proposals. We also have emails from people as well that come in, and we include those within any discussions. So in May we sort of start to structure the programme, and then that goes on through the summer and the autumn, and then at the beginning of each year before the forum we also look at what's really topical. So this year, for example, business rates is really topical within the industry, and the impact that might could potentially have on the industry is quite serious. So we have a session on business rates being included as well. So those sort of topical slots are included at the kind of in the last couple of months before the forum to make sure that we're really up to date and looking at what is of interest and of importance to the industry.
So it's your 25th year this year. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. It's, I don't know when it was set up all those years ago, whether they thought it would last 25 years, but it's amazing to think that we've got to that milestone.
It's incredible. How did it start?
It started in the early 90s by three gentlemen within the industry: Arthur George, Professor Colin Spedding, and Graham Suggett. Arthur George, actually, it was his idea, and he was a secretary of the Welsh Agricultural Society and also a member of the Welsh Agricultural Equine Association. And he felt that the people within the horse world at that point didn't act together. So he spoke to Professor Colin Spedding and Graham Suggett at that point and said, OK, what can we do about this? And that was in 1991. And they kind of had a couple of meetings and tried to get something up and running. And then what happened in 1993 was the first forum took place. So it took them a couple of years to get it together. But there was a lot of support for it. And it's grown since then. And Professor Colin Spedding was the chair of the forum up until 2012. He sadly passed away at the end of 2012, but we now make an award in honour of him, which is called the Sir Colin Spedding Award, and that basically recognises unsung heroes from within the industry. So we've done that every year since 2013 because we felt his kind of influence was very key in actually the development of the forum. So yeah, he was a very great guy.
I love that, you know, three men get together and say, right, we're going to change the industry and we're going to improve it. And 25 years later, you've got 230 people who all feel as strongly and passionately about the industry as we do on the ground. I mean, we as horse owners love our industry, love the horses, and always want to see improvements. And I just love the fact that you guys get together every year and do everything you can to make the industry even better. And also in a climate like today, where there's lots of politics and lots of changes, and we don't really know where we are from one minute to the next, to know that you're helping sustain our industry and keep it going, I think is really important.
Yeah, it's very important. And I think if you look at one of the things, many things have come out of the forum, but one of the things I think that's worth giving a mention is the British Grooms Association. I don't know whether you've heard about that. But they've been
on the podcast. We love the British Grooms Association.
Fantastic. Well, Lucy Catan actually gave a presentation, I think it was in 2003. I may have got that year a couple of years out, but around then, about the role of the grooms and how important they are to the industry, and basically we couldn't operate without them. And out of that came the British Grooms Association. There was some other work going on as well, I think, at the same time, but that kind of forum presentation was very important in taking the BGA forwards. And that's a really good example of how the forum works, in terms of there was an issue and an opportunity, and we don't take, as the forum itself doesn't take those ideas forward, but in the case of the grooms, the BGA did, and that's fantastic. I mean, that's really seeing a result, which is what we want within the industry.
So who are we going to hear from today then?
Oh, you've got lots of great speakers coming up. We're starting with Lord Gardner from DEFRA. He is coming in to give the DEFRA view. And we've then got Stuart Everett, who is going to talk about the Central Equine Database and give an update of that.
That will be fascinating. And we're hoping to bring you an interview with Stuart later.
He's from the Equine Register, which is basically running the Central Equine Database. And I think he will be a very good speaker, and a lot of people will want to send questions to him at the end.
Yeah, completely. I mean, things like, how do you register? How long will it take to get everybody on the register? What if everybody doesn't register their horses? Are these all things that will be discussed in the forum?
Yeah, it's the Central Equine Database is basically pulling together all the passports that are in PIOs, so that passport issuing organisations have on their database. So horse owners should have a passport for their horse, and then that passport should be registered with the PIO. So there are a number of PIOs in this country, I think over about 60, and then the Central Equine Database pulls all of those passports together into one place in terms of that being a database. And there are lots of reasons for that, but one being looking at actually knowing where the horses are in this country. It's building on what happened with the National Equine Database, which sadly folded in September 2012, or in the autumn of 2012.
Why did that fold? What happened?
The National Equine Database folded in the autumn of 2012 after DEFRA looked at basically a cost-benefit analysis, but all the data from it was retained, but there was no database for it to actually kind of hang off of, if you like. And now, due to EU legislation, and I'm sure Stuart will actually cover this a little bit when he speaks to you, we have to have a Central Equine Database in place, and Equine Register have been awarded that contract to put the Central Equine Database in place, and that's what they're kind of doing. So Stuart will explain a lot more about that, and I'm sure when he speaks to you, he'll be able to fill in the blanks for you.
Great. Now, you've also got Rowley Owers speaking from World Horse Welfare. We're going to catch up with him in a bit too. And some of your other guests. You have Lynn from the British Horse Society.
So yes, Rowley Owers is chairing our panel discussion. We've had a panel discussion for the last 2 years. This will be our third. And this year we're looking at what the EU exit or Brexit might mean for the horse industry. So we have the new deputy CVO, which is the Chief Veterinary Officer from DEFRA, on the panel, who's a gentleman called Graham Cook. We also have Claire Salmon from the British Equestrian Federation, Simon Cooper from Weatherby's, and Nikki Newcomb, who is the current chair of the board of BETA, which is the British Equestrian Trade Association. And they represent retailers and feed merchants and all that side of the industry. And Nikki is also the managing director of Bliss of London, which is a saddler's, so she's got good experience. Other speakers on the day, we've also got Sarah Phillips, who is in that whole morning session as well, which is kind of looking at the horse industry in a changing world. Sarah Phillips is the Chief Operating Officer at the British Horse Society, and is also leading the work that's being done with business rates for the sector. And I hope you might get to speak to her, because I think she would be very key person to talk to in terms of the possible impact that could have, but also what people can do within the sector to actually help the campaign to try and make that a little bit better for our industry.
So there's a lot for businesses, but also there is quite a few speakers that you have that are for grassroots, ground level riders and equestrians as well. Yes,
we do. The afternoon session is very much a much broader session. We have the first kind of afternoon session is a themed session with 3 speakers, and that's looking at an anatomical perspective of tack. So it's looking at tack fit and the effect that it can have on the welfare of the horse. And we're very lucky to have Dr. Sue Dyson from the Animal Health Trust.
Incredible woman, absolutely. This lady, what she doesn't know is, I just don't think she doesn't know anything. And I feel very honoured, because She was the one that helped my horse Blackjack many, many years ago when nobody else could find out what was wrong with him. Sue found out straight away. So I'm really looking forward to hearing her speak, and also to be speaking to her. So you can hear an interview with Sue later on today.
So we've got Sue Dyson from the Animal Health Trust. We've then got Neil Townsend, who is actually a specialist, European specialist in equine dentistry from the Three Counties Equine Hospital. He's going to be talking about the anatomy of the equine head in relation to tack usage and fit, which I think will be very interesting, and will build on Sue's session that's talking particularly about saddle fit. And then the final speaker in that session is Caroline Benoist from Newshall, who's talking about bitting and the welfare and the comfort of the horse. So we're sort of starting on the back, and then we're moving up to the head and the mouth. And I think that will be very interesting for everybody. And there will definitely be some take-home messages there as to how you can improve things for your horse. And then in the afternoon, second part of the afternoon, we've got Dr. Tim Parkin from the University of Glasgow talking about the Thoroughbred Health Network. And the Thoroughbred Health Network has been very much in the north of England and Scotland, but it's actually being expanded to the whole of the country now. And it's about taking scientific research and making it accessible to the sector as a whole, and to the people, the grassroots riders as well. I think he will be really interesting for grassroots people to know about what they can actually take from research that's been done and apply it and look at it for their own horses. And that's followed by two really interesting sessions, which I think will be of interest for everybody. Dr. Claire Scantlebury from Liverpool is going to talk about the Red Wing Strangle survey that was undertaken last year. Strangles is a very important disease, virus that can affect horses in this country, and we need to make sure that we're actually aware of what happens with it. And then Josh Slater, Professor Josh Slater from the Royal Veterinary College, he's going to then talk about equine herpes virus and then a case study sort of as to how that has been managed. So those two sessions are both very much related to biosecurity and how we can protect our own horses. And from a horse owner's perspective, especially if you're out competing and if you're on livery yards, it's really important that you're kind of aware of those aspects.
It's really interesting that you have mentioned those as two of the main subjects, because actually we do have a podcast on infectious diseases where B&W equine vets talk in detail about the issue of strangles, because today we would all love to be at the National Equine Forum. I mean, if we could all get tickets, we'd be there. So I am here to give you as much information as possible. Sadly, we can't record the whole of every speaker, even though we'd love to. So we're just going to provide you with snippets and interviews of what the guests are going to be talking about. But particularly on strangles and infectious diseases, do listen to that podcast, because it is really in detail of what to look for, the signs, the symptoms, because exactly as you said, Georgina, it is rife right now, and it is something that we're all completely petrified of, but don't really understand unless you've experienced strangles. You don't really know about it.
It's something that every horse owner needs to be aware of, and I think anything that we can do to get the message out there will be good. So yeah, if you've got a podcast there, then definitely go and have a listen to it. And our final speaker on the actual programme is Lynn Peterson from the British Horse Society, who is going to talk about changing lives through horses, which is a new initiative from the BHS, which has actually had a massive impact on NEET young people, so those who are not in employment or education, and actually getting them using horses to actually get them back engaged with society. So I'm really looking forward to that session and hearing about that. And then we close the day with the Princess Royal giving her president's remarks, and she also presents the Sir Colin Spedding Award at the end of the day. So we have 3 finalists who've been nominated for that award. Jim Green, who is a firefighter but who's been very much involved in the setting up of the large animal rescue sessions within this country and training firefighters to do that. Maureen James, who's been involved with the Side Saddle Association for very many years and has been a real stalwart of that sport. And I think she's also been involved in Riding for the Disabled work. And then finally, Bonnie Miller, who is an equine vet nurse who's actually been involved, very much key involvement in the continuing professional development of equine vet nurses. All three have gone above and beyond their normal jobs, and they're very much unsung heroes, and we're looking forward to celebrating them at the end of the day.
I can't wait to meet them. We're going to catch up with all the nominees later, and then we'll have a chat with the winner as well, so that's exciting. How do you nominate somebody for the Unsung Award? For the Colin Spedding Award?
What we've done the last couple of years is we let people nominate on the day. So you can nominate, if those people who are with us can actually nominate for the 2018 on the bottom of their feedback forms. But we also usually open it up in the summer for about a month or so, where people can just email us in. Sarah sends out some information. Sarah's our PR lady. She sends out some information, and we put information on our Facebook page and out on Twitter. And if you want to actually nominate somebody who you know who's an unsung hero, then you'll be able to do that in the summer. And then we review the nominations kind of in the autumn, and then we look at going forward there for the next forum in March 2018, which I can't believe we're talking about already.
I know. My goodness, Georgina, if I could nominate so many people. This year, 2016, I just met so many unsung heroes, people that don't get money, they do things for the love of their horses or their friends, or even strangers. It really is quite humbling to see how many amazing people there are out there.
Yes, there are a lot, and we have a very tough time trying to actually whittle it down to a short list of three. And that last year was the first year that we actually had three finalists that we took forward, basically because we were like, how do we choose just one person from this list? So it's fantastic that we're able now to have the three finalists, and we're repeating that this year.
So all in all, Georgina, it's a jam-packed day of education, of learning more about each specific sector of the industry, and then from after the forum's taken place, how do we then utilise that information and what we've learned and the discussions to actually improving the industry? Well,
what we tend to do is we have summary papers that will go out from the sessions where speakers have felt that they can submit them. So most of the afternoon sessions there will be a summary paper from.
Well, Georgina, it sounds like a really amazing day. Very, very exciting. And I'm really looking forward to speaking to some of the guest speakers. We'll bring you as many interviews as we can, and we'll be live tweeting all day so you can stay up to date. And I'm sure we can throw in a few photos as well. So I hope you have a really lovely day. And Georgina, I hope the National Equine Forum is a success for you.
Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you for your support and for having us all on the podcast. And I hope your listeners do enjoy the day and the information that we can get across to them. So thank you.
So you can follow the National Equine Forum on Twitter?
We're on Twitter and we're on Facebook. So the National Equine Forum Facebook page, so if you search for National Equine Forum, you'll find us, and there will be the live feed going out on that during the day. And on Twitter, we're Nat Eq Forum, so NATEQFORM, so National Equine Forum, kind of shortened because it's too long a name to fit the whole name onto Twitter. So do find us on Twitter as well, and we will also have a live stream going out on there as well, again with some pictures and some quotes and some snappy things that people have said. So please do follow us on both of those platforms.
Thanks so much. See you.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening. I'm at the National Equine Forum all day today, and I'll be bringing you interviews with guest speakers, with some of the experts. We'll be live tweeting the conversations that are taking place and photos too, so you can get involved in what's happening at the NEF. Tweet us your questions. What do you think about some of the subjects that are being talked about? Just use hashtag horsehour, hashtag NEF17. The experts here are talking in detail about how we can make changes to the industry. How can we improve our equestrian industry? And you're part of that as well. So do tweet us your opinions and your questions. I will speak to you very soon.